What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. We are back here today. It's your host, Dillon. We are going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Yes, of course. You see my hat. We're going to dive into a couple of mock drafts similar to Drew's video about a week ago or so. We're going to use two different mock draft simulating softwares today. The PFF, which is, the cream of the crop. That's what a lot of people use. But you can't do the whole draft now, and you can't do trades unless you pay for it, and we're not going to do that. So we're going to do one draft there on PFF, and then we're going to do one draft over on the new ESPN mock draft simulator, which is pretty cool. All 7 rounds, goes pretty quickly. We can do trades as well, so definitely some fun stuff here. We're going to talk about a lot of our ideas, and this is going to be more of a what I would do. I'll do what I think the Steelers are going to do before the draft actually comes out, but this is what I would do. I've talked a lot about my different thoughts and ideas, especially around the quarterback situation, but we'll save that for when we jump in. So I'm just going to pop over here, hit record on the screen, and you should be able to see it now. And here we are, PFF mock draft simulator here. So we're going to go ahead and hit record now. And PFF mock draft simulator, here we go. We are looking here at the Pittsburgh Steelers, pick 21 this year. And let me just tell us this. Hitting record now. All right, so here we go. We are here with the PFF mock draft simulator. See, Steelers picking at 21. We'll do 3 rounds because, again, that's the maximum you can do with PFF. And we'll go ahead and hit enter draft. Like I said, there's no trading on here that we'll do. But as the first couple picks come off the board, you'll see right away something happened at pick number 2. Now, I don't think this is going to necessarily happen in real life, but Shedeur Sanders going number 2 to the Browns, that eliminates him off our board. But what I'm going to say is he was never on our board to begin with. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be – I just don't think he's that guy in the NFL. I think he has holes in his game. If you watch the film, nothing pops with him. He's got a little escapability that I kind of like, but nothing pops with him. And there's a reason that, he's falling. And I think teams are starting to see that. And I actually put Jackson Dart above Shedeur Sanders at this point. But nonetheless, that's not a first-round grade. So just scrolling through, take a look at the rest of the guys on the clock here. One guy I always like to keep my eye on is Kenneth Grant out of Michigan here for the first pick. But we are definitely going D-line in the first round here today. And that's going to be on both simulators, more than likely. We'll see what happens when we get to the next one. But D-line, for sure. It's just there's a hole on the line right now with Benton in there, Hayward in there, no Ogunjobi anymore. So we need another starter, and that guy for me is Derek Harmon. He's basically a young version of Hayward. Got a lot of potential. I think he's great in the run, great in the pass, and he would instantly be an energizing guy there in the middle of the defense for the Steelers. They've gone offense the last couple of years. So you go see Jackson Dart off the board here as we're firing through. Jalen Milroe off the board to the 49ers. So no quarterback on the PFF mock, because if we're jumping back over here, we're not taking Will Howard right now. We're not taking Riley and Gladder. We're not taking any of those guys. So our options are wider here. But again, Derek Harmon, solidify that D-line up front. Not necessarily my favorite D-line prospect. I got a couple guys ranked above him, but a really good one nonetheless. So that makes me pretty happy. In the third here, we could go running back. We could go guys like R.J. Harvey. He's high on my board. I know Elijah Roberts is a guy that the Steelers have brought in. DJ Giddens, really, really talented running back here. But there's a wide receiver on the board that's just undeniably good here, and it's Kyle Williams. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick Kyle Williams in the third round here of the PFF mock draft, simply because running back depth is outstanding. Go watch our running back video, and you can listen to us rave about it for quite some time. It's an awesome draft class here. We'll see what PFF grade gives us here today with Harmon in the first and in the third. They're taking Kyle Williams, really good separator of the football. I think he'd be a really awesome piece to have in there because, you don't know what the future holds with George Pickens. He's on the team now, but he might not be around for the long term. PFF gives us a couple of C minuses. Whatever, PFF. This is I give it an A. Probably not exactly how I would like to shake it out. But let's jump over here to the ESPN mock draft simulator. In my opinion, right now, a better mock draft simulator here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to jump right in. We're going to load up the draft. And we're not going to waste a lot of time. We are going to immediately get started on here once everything's done loading in for us. But a couple of things I'm thinking about. Obviously, again, D-line in the first. A couple of other needs that we're going to need later on in the draft are corner, running back, wide receiver. I might not go wide receiver as high this time just because for right now I think we have other areas of need that we could do. We could draft a little bit higher. Finally loading in here on the draft. We'll go ahead and hit start. Cam Ward already gone here in the ESPN simulator. Let everything come off the board here. Cam Ward, Hunter Carter, Shadur Sanders goes to the Raiders at 6. I've seen that definitely as a possibility. If not, maybe the Saints. Genty to the Panthers. That is not one I've seen yet before. That would be quite interesting. Tetaroa McMillan to the Cowboys, as Drew had said. A popular one there. Kenneth Grant already off the board as well. So my thinking was I was going to try to get Kenneth Grant here. If he falls, I would run that card up. I think he's a great player. Walter Nolan already off the board as well. And so what we're going to do, if I hit make pick right here, looking at the targets on the board, there's a couple of really good players. Jahdae Barron, Mykel Williams, a couple of edge rushers there, a safety. Harmon on the board here, Hairston on the board here, Dart on the board here. But what we're going to do is we're going to trade down. And there's one team, and there's always it takes two to tango whenever you do this. But one team that's continuously been able to be traded down with here, at least in this simulator, is the Kansas City Chiefs. So trading down 10 spots to go to 31, but then picking up that number 63 pick because we don't have a second round pick anymore. Once we got DK Metcalf, our second rounder is gone. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop down 10 spots simply because there's a lot of players on the board I like right now. And, we'll see. If Harmon is still there, that's definitely going to be the pick here. I'm a little more hesitant to do this and if the board breaks this way where you have other D linemen go off the board and, of course, he becomes a Raven. That would be the most ultimate Ravens thing to happen. But with Walter Nolan already off the board, with Grant already off the board, and Harmon being kind of that last guy left, it makes you a little more scared to fall down that far. But I wanted that second round pick. Pretty bad. Now left on the board here, a lot of names, but we're not going first round running back. You don't need me to touch on more on that. Maxwell Hairston is a very intriguing name here. Let's circle back to him. Jackson Dart. Go watch my other Steelers video if you're interested in listening to me talk about Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart. He's my number 2 quarterback. I'd consider trading down and drafting him right here, and it's something we might end up doing. But for right now, we're not going to do that. But if the Steelers traded down and they drafted Jackson Dart to get that fifth-year option, that's something I'm okay with right now. But I got other plans in place here. So a lot of names. But you know what? And this is something I've actually not done before. But I'm going to take Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback. Getting another corner. We've been playing this revolving door opposite of Joey Porter Jr. for a while. And, I know we have Corey Trice over there, but he's kind of going into year 3, and he's had injury history. You just don't know if he's going to be a long-term viable option. And honestly, this pick's just fun. Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, long guy, ball hawks, fast, speed. And we got another second-round pick to play with here, too. So let's pick Maxwell Hairston. Let's do something different. I've been picking D linemen in my first-round mock drafts for months now. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with that one. I don't know. It was different. I'll admit that. But with Harmon already off the board, Walter Nolan already off the board, Kenneth Grant already off the board, D-tackle isn't something I'm loving here in the first round anymore. There's a little bit of a fall off of guys here after those guys are off the board. But ESPN mock draft taking its time here as we move along. So now that we are back moving through the second round here, we are back on the board. And as we go through, look at some names that have come off since we made that pick. Obviously some running back, Hampton in there. Darius Alexander is another guy that you could have taken there. Jackson Dart does go off the board, 40 to the Saints. That'd be an interesting fit there. Trey Harris, Quinn Ewers in the second round. Get real. A lot of D tackles here. Alfred Collins, Joshua Farmer off the board. Some wide receivers here as well. Harold Fannin there to the Lions. That'd be fun. But we're going to go ahead and make our pick here. We're going to go down to the quarterbacks because we're picking Jalen Milroe here in the second round. I have gone back and forth on Jalen Milroe all offseason. There's no denying the talent. Undeniable speed. He has a cannon for an arm. He has tools. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think when drafting quarterback, I think you do want to be cautious. I don't think he's worth the first round investment because he is a project. I'd love to give him in the third. I don't know if he's going to be there. So in this scenario, we're taking him here, and we're going to see. We're going to see what tools Jalen Milroe can develop. The Steelers, quote unquote, fixed Justin Fields. Jalen Milroe is in a very similar mold. Cannon, very athletic. Obviously, a lot. Not nearly the passer Fields was coming out of Ohio State, and that's why Milroe isn't a first-round pick. But, man, if you can mold that guy and play with him, it's going to work out, hopefully. That's obviously the goal when you're picking him in the second round. That's why we traded back. That is why we traded back, so we could get Jalen Milroe in this draft. Now we're back on the board. A couple of intriguing options right at the top. Scattaboo, Isaiah Bond here, Shamar Turner. One thing I haven't addressed was D tackle yet, and that kind of makes me a little bit uneasy because, like I had mentioned, that's definitely a need we have, and there's a lot of intriguing names I see on the board. But we're going to need to go get our D tackle here. We've waited long enough. TJ Sanders, I mean, that's a very interesting guy right there. What pick are we at? We're at 83. Let's just take a peek here. 83, we pick again at 123. 123, because what I'm looking at here is Deion Walker. But I don't know if I want to risk him not being there, because then if he's not there, I mean, you're looking at Ty Hamilton maybe as that guy. Let's just look at who all else is on the board here, because this is a very intriguing spot that we find ourselves. We've gone first round corner. We don't need a corner. We've got a quarterback here. So really, we can do whatever we want. We could go back in and cash in at wide receiver. A lot of running backs on the board. I'm going to wait around for running back. A lot of wide receivers on the board. Let's get TJ Sanders, D tackle there, highly ranked. Him or Shamar Turner. It's kind of pick your poison here. Let's go TJ Sanders. 42 rank on the board there, and you're getting him in at pick 83. That's a pretty good deal if TJ Sanders turns out to be that good. I don't know if TJ had a pre-draft visit with the Steelers, though. I know a lot of the mid-round defensive tackles have. So that would be interesting to see there if he does come in for a visit. Man, Alec Ayamanor, man, he's a guy that's fell on the boards during this pre-draft process. But we'll see. We'll see who's on the board here for our fourth round pick. I think that'll be a very interesting. All right, we are back on the board here. Just scrolling back through, making sure it picked who we wanted to. Yep, TJ Sanders. So after that, Isaiah Bond's gone off the board. Elijah Roberts, that's another guy I had my eye on. RJ Harvey is off the board here. Savion Williams is off the board. Deion Walker did not make it, just like I had feared. So that's okay. But here in the fourth, I got my eyes on one player, and that player is DJ Giddens, an absolute steal, all-around running back. Like I said, go back and watch our running back video. He's got speed, he's got power, he's shifty, he can catch the football. DJ Giddens is gonna be the man in the NFL. Devin Neal here on the board too. A couple other running backs I really like. Jaden Blue, but he's more of a maybe 5th round guy, maybe 6th round. But nonetheless, definitely happy with DJ Giddens here to add him to the team. Him and Jaylen Warren get a little 1-2 punch. Gainwell for a little bit of a speed guy. So that maybe you don't need a guy like Jaden Blue who is an absolute burner, because you have Gainwell who ran a 4.3 or low 4.4 when he was coming out of college here. So we found ourselves here in the 5th round. Let's go ahead and look at what we've done so far. We got corner, quarterback, D tackle, and running back. So in my mind, I'm thinking wide receiver. That's something we haven't addressed yet here, and there's going to be some names on the board that we'll take a look at. That's my next direction, and we'll see where that takes us here. We'll see what other names are on the board. Safety is another one I know that's been interesting. From a wide receiver perspective, none of these guys, Restrepo or Tez Johnson, sound good. I will say, if the pick was not Maxwell Hairston in the first, and it was a D tackle in the first, Kobe Bryant and Zy Alexander are 2 late round corners I would highly consider at this point in time. So we'll see there. I don't love how that first round pick ended up, but we'll see. What we got at wide receiver? Restrepo, like I said, no. Felton, Arian Smith, guys that we're probably not gonna. I'm gonna circle back and target maybe some of these later round guys instead. Let's look at safeties. R.J. Mickens, I know, was a highly rated player. Let's circle back to D tackle. I mean, this is a loaded D tackle class. We don't have to avoid it. We'll circle back here on that before the end of the day. After perusing the board here for a little bit, we are going to go back to the secondary, but we're not going corner because we already have gone corner. We're going to pick Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma. High rank, 92 on the board. And safety is one area of position where the Steelers have had a lot of pre-draft interest. They've looked at even some higher ranked safeties in this draft. You got Minka, who his future beyond 2026 is unknown, and honestly has not played up to the contract that we've gave him, so that's a question mark. Elliott has played outstanding, but that's a guy on a 1-year deal, so I don't mind getting a little bit of safety depth on the team here at this point in time. Back to the 6th round now. There's R.J. Mickens was a safety I was looking at, but there's Jaden Blue off the board in the 6th before our pick. Just a guy that I think is just awesome. We're going to go look at wide receiver here, and there's a couple of names that I'm interested in. We'll see. It's kind of pick your poison here on wide receiver. Ricky White is an interesting guy that I wouldn't mind having. Jimmy Horn, also interesting. Daquan Felton, I've kind of liked. Tez Johnson, too small. I'm steering away clear from that. I watched Arian Smith drop way too many passes in college for me to even start to consider that. So we're gonna go wide receiver here, and we're gonna go Daquan Felton, a guy kind of like out of Virginia Tech. But getting another wide receiver in the room, I don't think it hurts at all. So we will see. We'll see how that shakes out. All right, we are back on the board here in the 7th round, and I'm going back to defensive line. A couple of guys here that I like in the 7th round. One is Yaya Black out of Iowa. He's got a low rank on ESPN. He's like in the mid-200s, but he always ends up going in the 6th, so he's not here. But Nazir Stackhouse is huge body D lineman there out of Georgia. SEC D tackles that eat, he's probably a Philadelphia Eagle already. But you know what? In this draft, we're going to take him in the 7th round, and that brings our draft class to a close. So a little bit of an interesting first round. You know, I personally, I don't know how I'd feel if we took first round corner. I know it's something they've been looking into. I don't know if Hairston's on the Steelers board. Probably not, but you know, I think it was interesting. You know, I'd be really curious to see if the Steelers can trade down. It's just not something they've really done in the past. They typically hang on to their first round pick. So here's the review. Maxwell Hairston in the first. We trade down 10 spots with Kansas City, so we get Maxwell Hairston, and we pick up a second round pick in the trade for Jalen Milroe. I think that's key to remember. In that trade down, we get another second round pick, so maybe we lose out on Harmon, but in a loaded defensive line class, we come back in the third, get TJ Sanders. In the fourth round, I think we hit a home run getting DJ Giddens. We go to the defensive back, Billy Bowman, safety in the fifth round, wide receiver Daquan Felton in the sixth, and then back to the D-line, Nazir Stackhouse, big guy in the middle there in the seventh. So, you know, interesting draft. Like I said, I wish, you know, Harmon would be there at 31. I think if you can trade down to 31, get Harmon and get Milroe, and then in the third, you're free to get a wide receiver at that point or one of the other corners. You know, I think it's a win. The board didn't quite break for us how I would have liked it to today with how I've had drafts in the past, but sometimes that happens. And you know what? That's probably going to happen on draft night. It's not going to break exactly how you want it to. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of the mock draft, both of them. Remember, we started with PFF and finished with ESPN. Let me know what you would have done. If you're mad, I'm sorry. But you know what? Drop a like on the video, subscribe for more, and there will be plenty more draft content coming your way.